Question 2 should be a very familiar style of question for any student who studied GCSE history for the last year or two. We already started training you to do explain why answers from about year 7 onwards, depending on which year you started. And they are quite a simple structure to follow. We're focusing on the reasoning behind historical events, so we're looking for the reason, that is why something happens. And in this answer, you'll be looking to follow the standard writing structure that we offer at Joe Richardson, which is point, evidence, this meant, as a result, link. You do that twice or 3 times if you really want to push yourself towards those very top marks. So nice and simple, petal structure paragraphs and responding to the question. Now on the form I have laid out the question for you here. You can see that the question is written out for you. The question is explain why the Nazis were able to create a police state in the years 1933 to 39. And you've been given as stimulus points concentration camps and law courts. So with this question what we need to do is think about what is a police state first of all. What does that mean? And it means a society in which people feel that they are constantly watched and where police are much stricter than normal, or something along those lines. So if we're looking for a police state, that's the sort of thing you might want to write down. So we will be kind of identifying what that is. And then we need to think about, well, what are our reasons? Always with these types of questions, the stimulus points are not paragraphs. They're not designed to be paragraphs. They are, in fact, ideas to include in bigger paragraphs. So we need to step back and think, okay, what are the main reasons the Nazis were able to create a police state in this period? So we might want to say that they took control of policing structures. Yeah, so that's one thing we could look at, e.g. the Gestapo. We could also look at the role of the SS. And we could then also say other reasons why they managed to do this. Well, we could look at they changed the law, the way the law worked. Hitler's word became law, that's another option. And we could also look at the creation of a terror state, including the creation of concentration camps. Let's say denunciations, where people are telling tales on each other. I'll just put reporting. What else? Concentration camps, denunciations, reporting, and spying on German citizens. E.g. the SD, who are the internal spying organisation. So there's lots of different options there in terms of paragraphs. So you could talk about, what the Gestapo was and how they worked. You could talk about, the spying networks, the number of people they had. You could talk about the fact that the laws changed. You could think about the Nuremberg laws, for example, special police courts, special courts, and you could also, you could talk about even the kind of restrictions on who could work for the state, employment rules, and so on. You might also think about the treatment of ethnic minorities as well. So where would we fit that? Let's put that in here as well. So there's lots to be written about there. Remembering that at all times we must make sure that we write our answers in petal paragraphs. So point. The sentence start for that would be one reason why the Nazis were able to create a police state was and you could put that they eliminated all opposition, allowing them to fully control the police and we'll just say the police. And then we go into, for example, so how did they do that? We could talk about the Gleichschaltung process, the banning of other political parties, banning of journalists, and so on. So there's the enabling law, etc. So there's things you could write about there. So just remember that those sentence starters. We got point. So let's go for evidence. For example, yeah, that's a fairly simple one. Then we got this meant. Or you can also use, I think it's always helpful to have this one. This is important because that just helps you to get into your explanation. As a result of this, and link. Now link, the sentence starter there should be therefore. This shows, well, therefore one reason why ... was. Okay, so it's a fairly simple answer that. This video is going into something that you've probably done quite a lot before, but just to remind you that that's what the exam paper looks like, and you'd then be set off with around about, I'm going to say here, around about 15 minutes. You could have a little bit longer if you manage to get that 4 marker done quickly, but don't take any longer than that. And if you are going to write that, try to time yourself now, and typing and writing for you might be around about the same pace, maybe slightly different, but it's still very good practice. So when your teachers receive this form, what we expect to see is 2 separate paragraphs following the petal structure. Please make sure you do that, because it's very disappointing to pick up these forms and to see somebody only doing 1, or to not give it enough explanation. And remember, top level, push yourself, try to make sure you explain your points in great detail and include factual evidence that is precise. So factual evidence, we're talking about precise names of things and items, events, dates, and so on. Yeah, numbers. An analysis, that's the other thing we're looking for there, and it's detailed explanation and comparison between the different factors. That is what we're looking for at the top level. Okay, so precise names and events and detailed explanation. I hope you enjoy that, and I hope this video is clear. Now you can answer the questions on the form and submit it. And that's your job done for today.